October 18th. This is a special meeting of the City Council for the City of Alburnett. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order. We will waive the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll start with roll call. Councilor Trump.
Aye.
Councilor Rosenberg.
Present.
Councilor Suka.
Present.
Let the record reflect that Councilors West and Myers are absent, but we do have a quorum to conduct business. With that, I would seek a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Rosenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right. Brings us to item 5, which is business. I didn't know whether to call it new or old, so I just called it business. Item A is our hiring update from the hiring committee. Sub-item will be a resolution following the discussion. So, I did want to share. Make sure TJ didn't try and join. No? All right. We received, from the time that we opened the job posting on September 27th, we received 18 applications. We selected 3 of those for an interview. The result of that is that the hiring committee has come away with a recommendation to make an offer. I have made a preliminary offer to one of the candidates, Nicholas Blocker. So you do have in your packet, I included the job description for the position just as a refresher in case you wanted to reflect on it, and then Mr. Blocker's resume. So you have that in front of you. The very last page, 2 pages, will be the resolution when we get there. So there is something that I want to make sure we're all on the same page, so I am just going to go through. Mr. Blocker was employed by the City of Marion with their police department through March of 22. His employment was ended in termination. He was then hired by the West Liberty Police Department in May of 22 and promoted to sergeant in August of 2024, which left him responsible for the management of 9 officers. Based on our discussions with Mr. Blocker, he has experience in policy administration. They're actually doing a full review of their policies right now. Budgeting, he's responsible for their police department budget. Obviously community relations, just in the nature of the work that he does. Grant exploration, he did mention that their city manager handles the actual grant writing, but I do know that he's had to explore to find grants to pursue for the police department. And then his knowledge of public safety, I think, will be a great asset in our partnership with our fire department. A lot of things, some of the things on my list also for this position also include emergency management plans and those types of things. So I think that's really gonna, he'll be able to leverage that knowledge in those regards. Because his employment was with a public entity and not private sector, you will find an article, if you Google his name, with the reason for his termination from Marion. There is, the claim out there is it is for dishonesty. Please know that I've had a conversation with Mr. Blocker about the fact that this is a very high trust environment and we need to ensure that we all work together and kind of row in the same direction. While I cannot disclose the entirety of my conversation with him, I can reassure you that my takeaway is there are 2 sides to every story and that not every work environment is the right fit for everyone. I was reassured by his eligibility to be immediately hired as a police officer with another department. If you do, we could take the time right now if you wanted to look up the article if you hadn't already seen it. Be mindful of the source of the article. You will note it comes from the Iowa Capitol Dispatch, and they do tout themselves basically as government watchdogs. So there is that as well. Based on his candor and professionalism in all of my interactions with him throughout this process, I have confidence that Mr. Blocker will be an incredible asset for the city. So I don't personally have any reservations, even with that information being out there. keep in mind that had it been private sector, we wouldn't have known. So there's just still an element of, you know, sometimes you have to use your own judgment, and even every hire is a risk. You don't quite know what you're gonna get, but would you two add anything from the interviewing process? Grant unfortunately was the only one that didn't benefit from that.
He communicates very well, he's well-rounded, can think on his feet. I think he's gonna bring a lot to the position. As far as the article, I think it's just the fact that we need to let it be known that this happened, so there aren't any surprises when someone in the public happens to run across that.
Yep.
Correct, yeah.
No, I think he interviewed Rick very well, you know, I mean, he just, I went away excited thinking about him, you know, and he is very well-rounded in a lot of government stuff and that, so it makes it easier for him to step into this job.
Yeah, one of the primary responsibilities is being able to read and interpret both our ordinances and Iowa code, and he has to enforce it right now. I mean, that is his job, is understanding code and enforcing it, so I'm encouraged by that.
And I think our, the clerk and the maintenance, they feel like they can work with him, so that's a plus. They think he's pretty good.
Do you have any questions, having been the only one not involved?
I don't think so. It's a very good resume.
Yep.
Seems very well versed, which is, I would say, what that position needs. Wears a lot of hats, and dabbles in a lot of things. So.
He did share that, so he got his bachelor's of business administration from Purdue University, and he did all of that remotely. So that for me, and that was during COVID. So that reinforces self-discipline to be able to work through that.
Absolutely.
I think he's had to put together many presentations, you know, in his job, so he's comfortable with doing that stuff too.
Yeah, he's comfortable working with the council. He understands the speed of government and how quickly things, I think that can be one struggle of someone coming from the private sector, is how slow government moves. Grant, a lot of the examples he gave us were also involved their school board, so he's used to working with, you know, cooperating with other entities. They're currently exploring a school resource officer program, so that was one thing he's taken charge on. So that shows the ability to cooperate across organizations as well. So, pleasure of the council if you wanted to pause and explore the article, but again, I didn't find a lot of cause for alarm. But to Joe's point, this way, you know, I do want to address it and make it public that we are aware. We've had a conversation, and we're allowed to make our own decisions based on the information that we have. So he has accepted a tentative offer at $75,000 a year. That is the exact midpoint for this position. I think it's more than reasonable considering the experience that he brings. He's going to be able to hit the ground running on several things that I have on my list around policy creation and those types of things. I did goof up and felt that it was my responsibility to own it, and therefore it's in the resolution. He asked about paid time off, and I referenced that it is 10 days. I forgot the prorate for the fiscal year, so that's my slip. So I just would like to offer him the full 10 days for this fiscal year, rather than prorating his paid time off. So you'll see that reflected in the resolution.
And, well, he's okay with insurance?
Yep.
No?
Yep, I sent him all of our health insurance and dental insurance information, and
I'm okay with it.
yep,
Okay.
he didn't ask for anything else, so. has our handbook as well, so he's aware, because he had asked about like holidays and the paid time off, so I just sent him a copy of the handbook, so he's aware of our policies in that regard.
And your reference to paid time off in section 24, the last sentence, is that what you're trying, I mean, I'm a little confused on that. The city administrator will be granted full 10 days PTO for fiscal year 2025, regardless of the start date.
So our handbook reads that it's 10 days for the full fiscal year, and depending on when they start, it would be prorated. So because he's gonna start in
Oh, okay.
like probably
My
November,
confusion is we're in fiscal year 25, right?
we are in fiscal year
Thank you.
25,
Okay.
yes,
That makes quite sense.
yes. So should have been prorated to like November to
Yeah.
June, but again, I misspoke when making the offer, and so I will honor the full 10 days.
Okay, I'm clear.
Shouldn't be a huge impact, I think I calculated it would have been like 7.5, so
That'd be-
it's an additional 2.5 days. The only thing we do not have specified in the resolution that I will read if, once we're through discussion, is an exact start date. He did request that we would set the start date as 2 weeks from when everything is finalized, just to make sure there's no hiccups, that way he won't have to give notice until he knows that this is,
Ready to go.
yeah, full-fledged ahead. So that includes approval from council,
Background checks.
background check, and drug screen. We've processed both of those, we're just waiting on results,
Okay,
which I expect we'll have middle of next week.
so it could easily be middle of next week plus 2 weeks.
Yes, in which case, yeah, if we kind of draft
We're
that
getting around
out,
the 1st of November.
it'll be in early November, yeah. So I did build some flexibility in the verbiage around that start date.
Okay.
But again, given that he's an officer right now, active employment, I'm not concerned. All right, any other questions?
No.
And I'm going to read Resolution 2024-38, resolution for the hiring of a city administrator for the city of Alburnett, Iowa, and set wage for the position. Whereas the mayor and city council recognize the need for an experienced and qualified individual to fill the position of city administrator to ensure the efficient and effective management of city operations, including oversight of city finances, policy implementation, and coordination of city projects. Whereas the city administrator position was posted and published to solicit qualified applicants for consideration. Whereas the city council acknowledges the importance of offering appropriate support, compensation, and benefits to attract and retain qualified personnel for this key administrative role. Whereas the hiring committee has identified a suitable candidate for the position of city administrator based on their qualifications, experience, and demonstrated commitment to public service. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa, that the City of Alburnett, Iowa does hereby hire the below listed individual as city administrator, subject to the terms and conditions of employment as outlined in the city's personnel policies and procedures. Section 1. The following person and position name shall receive the salary indicated, and the city clerk is authorized to issue warrants, checks, less legally required or authorized deductions for the amount set out below, and make such contributions to IPERS and Social Security or other purposes as required by law or authorization of the council. The position is city administrator, name Nicholas Blocker, at $75,000 a year. This is a full-time exempt position, which means there is no overtime, he is salaried. Section 2, the above named employee is subject to the City of Alburnett personnel policies and procedures applicable to their department. Section 3, the effective start date for the city administrator shall be 2 weeks following the satisfactory completion of all pre-employment requirements, including background checks and any other necessary screenings. Section 4, an exception to the city's current paid time off PTO policy is hereby authorized for the city administrator for FY25. The city administrator shall be granted the full 10 days of PTO for FY25 regardless of their start date during the fiscal year. And Section 5, the salary and PTO benefits established in this resolution shall be effective upon final passage of the city council. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2024-38 as read.
So moved.
Moved by Sukup. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trump. Any further discussion? Hearing none, because this is personnel, we're gonna do this by roll call. Counselor Trump,
Aye.
Counselor Rosenberg,
Aye.
Counselor Sukup.
Aye.
Thank you. So that motion carries. Okay, that moves us to item number 6, final comments. Any final comments?
I take it Chris and that had been talked to about him, and you talked to him about Nicholas, or share the information with him,
Chris Mark.
Chris Meyer.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah, I have had a conversation with Counselor Myers.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And TJ too.
I haven't talked to TJ because I thought he was gonna be here tonight, but he did receive the packet with the information, so.
Okay, yep, that's good. Otherwise, nothing.
Alright. I would like to comment and thank my interviewing committee for the time you put in. This one was, I would say, we got 3 really great candidates right out the bat, so that made it, expedited it a little bit, but it's still a commitment, so I appreciate you guys making the time. Alright, with that, we will confirm the date and time of our next meeting is our regular meeting, November 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. So long as no other special business comes up, which I'm not anticipating. That leaves us with adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Moved by Bosenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. We are adjourned at 5:17 p.m.